Hey guys, Fire here. So the more I play in preseason, the more I'm getting rammed by good support players on the enemy team, or I'm getting carried by ones on my team, which is a really weird feeling. We're just not used to supports being able to show how good they are. Season 8 is going to be very different for the bot lane meta, massively different to probably anything we've ever seen, really. I would love to know what you guys think of this as well, whether you've noticed it or not, but I've had a proper look at a lot of different stuff, including low analytics stats as well, to show you kind of why it's going to be changing so much. Games are ending earlier is the first thing. 54% of them actually end before 30 minutes and 78% of them end before 35 minutes according to low analytics. So obviously support damage and control is better earlier into the game, right? AD carries take over mid to late game with their items and stuff. If we saw it flipped around and suddenly like 78% of games ended after 35 minutes, AD carries would be the kings of the game and just control everything. That's not really how it works right now, sadly. Supports have been given a lot more damage from the new runes. A lot are going the Frost Queen's claim line as well, which means more damage and more gold as well. Supports seem like a lot more in control, I guess, of the lane phase, whether it's through poke or engage. And we're actually seeing this massively different because we're used to a sensor meta where everything like was kind of boring and we were just sitting back. That's why it stands out so much, because we went from sensor meta where nothing happened to this meta where everything is happening, and the lane phase and supports are so much stronger. They can trade a lot better, they're going to have more impact as well. A Nami can easily half health the enemy AD carry, and that's something that just couldn't happen last season. Champion pools, because of the runes, have changed now, so the focus is on carrying or killing people rather than actually protecting somebody. Sadly, the best of them can do both. Obviously, like Taric can kind of switch halfway through. Sona's the same kind of thing. Poke early, then protect afterwards. Alistar even. But in lane, the focus is how can I kill the enemy AD, or how can I screw them over, right? Supports can actually carry a lot harder because of that as well, but they're much more relevant. This is a really good thing though. There's a much more even balance between AD carry and support roles and how like useful they actually are. Supports with Spell Thieves can often burst trade harder than AD carry can now, or they can hit us from a higher range as well, which means we can't really return any damage. This is kind of why the AD meta has shifted to Misfortune, Ezreal, and Jhin, because these guys can actually trade back in burst and from really high range, so they kind of like counter that side of things and stay a bit safer. Crowd control supports as well, like engage ones, so the owner and stuff, have more damage built in, so they have more kill pressure, and there are less healing, shielding supports, disengage supports, basically, to block them in the lane phase from killing somebody. It's another thing that Sensor actually messed up a lot. It was really hard to actually kill somebody in the lane, but now it's really not difficult at all. This is the biggest thing. It's a lot easier to kill somebody, whether it's through poke damage over time, whether it's through a full engage with Ignite. Even a Janna with her W and Aerie does a lot of damage, and it's also why I think during in Season 8 is going to be a lot better. At least in the preseason, from my experience, you should be able to fight more, get ahead easier, and that is going to make a lot more difference when you have like comms. You can actually talk to each other, and that synergy actually matters. Let's look at some other numbers, like proper averages and stuff, to kind of show you what I mean. So it's not the fairest way to look at things, because if games lasted longer, as we said, AD carries would definitely have their averages increased massively, but that's kind of the point as well. Games aren't going as long as they used to. Ashe is more utility, right? So she's like the support of the AD carry role, I guess. Single target, like Vayne and Tristana, are never going to have the highest damage numbers. Misfortune and Twitch are both more AoE focused, so that is why they have a lot more. And gold values, though, are all very similar. Moving on to supports, which is the cool part. Leona is a tank. That shows you the baseline of this, like the lowest level, right? Sona and Karma are the middle ground. They damage early, but they transition more into kind of supporty style in the mid game. Xerath and Vel'Koz are just full poke champions, so they're the three kind of supports we have at the moment. First off, the main thing, look at the gold. Supports are not that far behind AD carries anymore. 1,500 to 3,000 gold behind what the average AD earns in a game. And in theory, AD carries are supposed to be the highest earning role, and supports are supposed to be the lowest earning role. Damage-wise, Sona, Karma are like 5,000 to 6,000 behind normally on average, which, considering mid-game they don't really do as much damage anymore, is actually pretty good. They don't poke or trade as much. They're more at the backline shielding and stuff instead, right? That's actually really good. It shows you how much they do early game now to build those numbers up. Xerath and Vel'Koz, who are just poke champions, they are right next to AD carries now in damage, even ahead of the single target ones, and that's pretty normal for poke champions. But for support poke champions, that's kind of crazy, honestly. Like, actually, if we have a look comparing the support version to the mid lane version, mid lane Vel'Koz does 3,000 more damage just over on average per game and earns about 1,000 more gold. Xerath, 5,000 more damage and 1,300 more gold. So the more damage makes sense, right? But actually, they're not that far ahead in gold anymore of the support versions. Compare it again to other roles. So top lane, like the tanks there, the bruisers there, jungle, the tanks, and also the damage ones. Like supports are only about 1,000 gold behind on average in a game, which is crazy. Like that just wasn't wasn't the same last season. So the thing is, supports are specifically designed to be low income, so they don't need gold and they don't need items to actually be useful and to have an impact in a game. They can all function perfectly well at a lower gold threshold than most of the other champions in the game. They don't need gold to do well in a game. So now that they have more gold though, they are suddenly a ton stronger and they can have a much bigger impact because they have these overloaded kits, like really, really powerful kits, and now they have golden items to back it up as well. The balance between AD and support, the balance between support and other roles in the game is so much more even than it's probably ever been in the game at the moment, which is really good, but we're going to have to fight more in Season 8. We're going to have to die a lot more. We have to try and get more kills. We're going to see supports actually carry a lot harder. That should kind of explain why supports seem like they dumpster AD carries this season, in the preseason at least, and why Season 8 is going to be so much different. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe, all that lovely stuff. But for now, I'll leave you with the robots.